Alrighty, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to go ahead and try to get started here. It's actually Monday evening, the 3rd of March, 2025. I'm Texas Storm Chasers Baldy-in-Chief David Reimer. Apologies, I wanted to try to get this to actually work on Facebook, but apparently Facebook is just not having a particularly good evening regarding live video, so we tried, and it didn't really want to work, so it is what it is. That being said, I am Texas Storm Chasers Baldy-in-Chief David Reimer. It's going to be a live video briefing on tonight's severe weather issues, along with the potential for a very busy fire weather and wind event going into Tuesday. I'm going to go ahead and switch you over to the live look at the satellite, the radar, etc. This is a bit of a different view than I typically show you. This is a combination of satellite products that show the clouds, but also shows the amount of moisture available. If I were to zoom this out, you'd actually be able to see we have a very impressive upper-level storm system developing here over the central and southern United States. You can see how we're seeing an arcing line of towering cumulus across Iowa, eastern Kansas, Missouri, Oklahoma, back down along the leading edge of a cold front into Texas, with precipitation up in Colorado. This yellow, blinky, purple box of doom here, that is a severe thunderstorm, or excuse me, a mesoscale discussion with the indications that we are going to see a tornado watch issued in probably the next couple of hours. This tornado watch will include northwest Texas, parts of the Big Country, probably parts of Texoma, and northwest Texas as well. If I switch us over to a product with the radar, you can see we actually already have the first thunderstorms of the evening now developing quickly here along the leading edge of the cold front across western Oklahoma and eventually even into parts of the eastern Texas panhandle. We are going to likely see storms across these regions here in the next hour or two. The primary issue for the next couple of hours at least will be the far eastern panhandle, far northwest Texas, and into Oklahoma. With time later this evening, we are going to see development of thunderstorms farther south along the leading edge of a cold front. And that is when we will start having more issues in Texas. This is the high-resolution rapid refresh model going through tonight into Tuesday morning. A vast majority of our issues here in the state of Texas will not be until after midnight, though again, we will have a few storms in northwest Texas, the far eastern panhandle, into western portions of Oklahoma, well, now, over the next few hours. You can see after midnight, the cold front is going to unzip. A line of thunderstorms will rapidly develop across Oklahoma south to I-20 at least, in the Big Country, northwest Texas, maybe even into the Concho Valley down towards San Angelo. That line of thunderstorms after midnight will race east into northwest Texas, the Big Country, the Concho Valley. Will enter North Texas, parts of Central Texas, Texoma after 3 a.m. This line of storms will likely be impacting the DFW Metroplex between 4 and 7 a.m. Tuesday morning. Some of these storms overnight are going to be severe with the threat of large hail, damaging winds, and tornadoes. Yes, we are going to have a tornado threat overnight, and yes, it is not going to stop just because it's 4 a.m. In fact, we're probably going to be doing tornado coverage at 4 a.m. Tuesday morning for parts of this region. So that's where we're going to want you to make sure you have a way to receive weather warnings overnight into Tuesday morning, and also understand we could have a pretty rowdy line of storms moving across Interstate 35 during the morning rush hour Tuesday in the DFW Metroplex, all the way up into southern and central Oklahoma. These storms after that, sunrise Tuesday, will move east quickly across northeast Texas, the Arklatex, East Texas, the Piney Woods of East Texas, into southeast Texas, the Golden Triangle, with some storms, the most intense, producing damaging wind gusts, spin-up tornadoes, hail. The way it looks now, that all is going to be east of Texas, and we're going to be done with severe thunderstorm potential by lunchtime Tuesday. In its wake, we are going to be dealing with a widespread high-impact wind event. In fact, let me show you. These are forecast wind gusts tomorrow. We're going to see westerly winds behind the cold front, and winds at times will gust over 60 miles per hour, especially the western half of Texas. We're going to have a very dry air mass as well. And the threat for wildfires is going to be the highest it's been in years across central Texas, the Hill Country, south central Texas, the Edwards Plateau, the Concho Valley. areas that are usually east of our really big, high-impact, wind-driven fire days. Well, tomorrow, that's y'all. I'll show you in a minute, but tomorrow has the potential to be a day like we saw in September 2011 when we had the Bastrop Fire Complex, the fire that was wind-driven in the wildland-urban interface and ended up munching over 1,500 structures. Guess what? That's a possibility tomorrow with any fire that gets going. Fires tomorrow are going to be uncontrollable. Once they get going, they're not going to stop until weather conditions improve tomorrow night or Wednesday. So we're going to have real problems tomorrow, especially given the fact we're going to have wind gusts over 60 miles an hour. And that's probably going to start knocking some power lines down. We're going to have stuff flying into power lines, which makes sparks. Sparks make fire. Sparks in a drought-strained plus freeze-dominated surface fuel area means the grass is going to catch on fire really easily, and in 60-mile-an-hour winds and humidity values of near 10% also mean once the fire gets going, it ain't stopping anytime soon, and it's going to move several miles per hour if it is in a receptive fuel environment. And the wildland-urban interface, especially in the hill country, central Texas, south central Texas, means we're going to have real problems. So let's go ahead and get into it. Now, let me show you the severe weather outlook for tonight and tomorrow, just to give you a graphical representation of what we're expecting. Here's the severe weather outlook for tonight. And again, we're going to have a tornado watch pretty soon here in northwest Texas, parts of the big country, North Texas, Texoma, and Oklahoma. But this is severe weather outlook. Midnight through 7 a.m. Tuesday is the most likely time frame. We could have some storms producing hail larger than quarters, by the way. That's a baseline, but some storms may actually overachieve. Main threat will be the possibility of spin-up tornadoes, damaging straight-line winds. The big country, North Texas, the Concho Valley, Northwest Texas, Texoma. We note that there is a medium potential for tornadoes, especially in Texoma, Northwest Texas, North Texas, the eastern big country, mostly from 1 a.m. through 7 a.m. Tuesday. The potential for a couple tornadoes will exist, Northwest Texas, the big country, the Concho Valley, and east into parts of North Texas. This outlook ends at 7 a.m. tomorrow. Guess what? The risk doesn't end. Here's the risk beginning at 7 a.m. through about noontime as storms exit Texas to the east. The possibility of scattered to numerous severe thunderstorms will continue. North Texas, Northeast Texas, the Arklatex, East Texas, the Golden Triangle, the Toledo Bend Reservoir. Pretty much if you're on the border of Arkansas, Louisiana, and Texas, you're dealing with storms tomorrow, and some of them are going to be producing damaging winds, spin-up tornadoes, and hail. And yes, the threat for tornadoes will also continue. We are anticipating a low to medium potential for spin-up tornadoes with the most intense storms in the squall line tomorrow morning as they race from west to east across the Arklatex, Northeast Texas, Eastern North Texas, East Texas, Southeast Texas, the Golden Triangle, the Toledo Bend Reservoir area, the Piney Woods of East Texas, the Eastern Brazos Valley, eastern parts of Central Texas. Yeah, I can name a lot of regions. That's because I'm a nerd. But these storms are expected to race quickly. They're not going to last long at your location, and once they're gone, you're going to have very strong westerly winds, and skies are going to clear out really quick, and it's going to get really dry. And here is the fire outlook for tomorrow. And again, it has been a long time since I've seen something like this. The western, for all intent and purposes, the western 80% of Texas under a extreme threat of fires tomorrow. Fire danger rating is as high as it gets. If a fire gets going in these conditions, we are expecting it to be uncontrollable. The potential for it to move and burn 3 to 5 miles at least per hour. Yes, you heard me right. The fires could be moving faster than you can walk and, in some cases, run. The potential for fires to directly impact communities and the wildland-urban interface. If we get a fire and it gets really going, it's not going to stop. We're going to have a significant amount of ember cast due to the strong winds. And once we start doing ember attack issues in the wildland-urban interface, it's over. Those embers get up under structures, get up under roof lines, and we're going to start having big problems. That's the worst-case scenario. We're also very concerned because we are going to have wind gusts over 60 miles an hour, especially the western half of the state. We're going to have extremely dry winds, extremely dry humidity, and dry winds, I guess, yeah, for all intended purposes, which means that we're probably going to have some issues with things flying into power lines or power lines coming down, which makes sparks. and can result in a significant number of initial attack issues and a high number of ignitions. And we have a very high ignition component tomorrow, very high energy release component values. It just means the grass is dry, the brush is dry, there's a lot of energy they're going to release when they burn, and we're just going to have issues. I mean, tomorrow could be a really bad fire day. I'm not saying that to scare anybody. I'm just saying it to let you know that, fire weather is severe weather. And guess what? You remember what we were doing about this time last year with the 1.3 million acre fire up in the Panhandle? Guess what? It doesn't take a fire that big to cause issues. We could have a 200 acre fire in the middle of a major city tomorrow, and it still burn down neighborhoods if conditions were right for it. So we want folks in all of Texas to think about, very strong west winds tomorrow. What if we end up with a fire that develops quickly just west of me? Do I know where I'm going to go? Do I go north? Do I go south? Do I go east? What if one of my roads gets cut off by fire or traffic? Do I have another way to get out of the way? It's things like that. You need to know where to go. You also need to follow your local emergency management or fire department on social media or whatever service they may offer that gives emergency notifications, because those would be the folks who issue evacuation orders. So really, you're going to want to be very mindful of all this tomorrow. I'm not saying this to scare anybody. I'm just telling you we've got major problems. And again, we're going to have a dust storm. The whole state's probably going to be in dust tomorrow. We're going to have dust blowing in from the Panhandle, New Mexico, West Texas, the Permian Basin. They've already got a legitimate dust storm with visibilities below half a mile in Amarillo, Lubbock. Guess what? All that dust is going to keep blowing east behind that cold front tonight and tomorrow. The whole state's going to be shrouded in dust tomorrow. Some folks are going to have legitimate dust storm issues where visibility is under a mile. And guess what? Add in if we end up with a bunch of fires tomorrow, guess what? We're going to have smoke all over the place too. So here is the fire outlook for Wednesday. We calm down. It's still high to very high across the state, but conditions will be significantly better than tomorrow. Thursday, fire danger goes back to very high to extreme across the western half of the state. So we're going to stay busy. And I know the state, the Texas A&M Forest Service, the Texas Department of Emergency Management, all the state agencies and regional agencies have deployed and pre-positioned a significant augmentation of resources across the state. Both strike teams, we have over almost 24 aviation assets in terms of aircraft pre-staged. They're not going to be able to fly tomorrow for the most part. We're just going to have to wait till Wednesday for them to come in after sunrise. And, dozers, stuff like that to cut fire line. So again, the issue tomorrow is with such strong winds, we're not worried about just one big fire. We're worried about many fires all ongoing simultaneously, stressing resources. I mean, we had that back in Los Angeles County back earlier this year. I think it was earlier this year in January. They had multiple large wind-driven fires that really stretched resources. I'm concerned we're going to have that tomorrow. So you need to know what you're going to do and all that. And again, here's winds. Again, it's going to be windy. Tonight, it's going to be windy out of the southeast. Southeast winds up to 50 miles an hour across the eastern 75% of the state. Line of storms, crash you the cold front with no real temperature drop, moves in tomorrow out of the west. Then we all get west winds. Panhandle, you could have winds gusting 80 miles an hour tomorrow. West Texas, 70 miles an hour. Permian Basin, 60. We could have 60-mile-an-hour winds in parts of North Texas, Central Texas, the Hill Country, South Central Texas, out of the west. We're going to have major aviation impacts. Westerly winds, most of our airports here in the state have north-south runways. So when we get 60-mile-an-hour winds out of the west, tomorrow's the kind of day where we're going to have probably mass cancellation and delays at many of the airports at DFW, Austin, San Antonio. Intercontinental has a good number of Houston Intercontinental has a good number of east-west runways, so they may be better, but tomorrow's the kind of day where DFW is probably going to be limited to the 2 northwest, southeast-facing runways for operations versus the typical 5 to 6 runways they can use simultaneously in normal conditions. Aviation's not going to be good. So we're going to have a very impactful day weather-wise tonight, tomorrow, into tomorrow night. And again, before any of that, we've already got a fire on the southeast side of Pampa they're working on. We're dealing with storms overnight into Tuesday morning. especially after midnight, though we note storms have already begun developing in western Oklahoma. They could impact the far southeastern panhandle, far northwest Texas this evening, but a majority of our activity will be after midnight to 1 a.m. So we will be doing live severe weather coverage overnight into Tuesday morning. Storms will roll across the eastern half of Texas tomorrow morning before moving into Louisiana and Arkansas by lunchtime. And then we're going to be dealing with fires, wind, dust. Make no mistake, the wind and dust and fire issues tomorrow will be the most widespread thing. Yes, we're going to have nasty storms Tuesday morning across the northern half of the state, the eastern half of the state, and we're going to have problems with that, but everyone isn't going to be getting hit by tornadoes, damaging wind stuff. Everyone will be getting hit by strong winds and probably blowing dust tomorrow, and we're probably going to have a problematic wildfire outbreak situation occur. So, those of you asking what's going on, we'll go back real quick. And again, Austin may not get storms tonight, but y'all are going to be dealing with an extreme wildfire threat tomorrow. The whole state, everyone in the state's going to have strong winds out of the west, blowing dust, the potential for wildfire issues. So that's going to be the main story tomorrow. Tonight, late tonight, Tuesday morning, we're going to be doing storms. And then the wind arrives, the dry air arrives, the dust gets blown across the whole state, and it's just going to be a rough day. So, with that being said, here are a couple resources you can do. If you're wanting weather warnings overnight, Tuesday morning, we want you to make sure you've got your wireless emergency alerts turned on. That's WIA. In some cases, and usually if there's dangerous storms approaching, your phone will give you an alert. Outdoor warning sirens, I want to emphasize, are meant for outdoors. Yes, I know some of you can hear them indoors, but don't use that as your sole source of warning. If you're going to bed, make sure you've got, something to wake you up if a dangerous storm approaches, especially northwest Texas, the big country, Texoma, North Texas, where we could have tornado warnings and severe storm warnings at, 3, 4, 5 a.m. Tuesday, tonight. We offer a service now called Weather Call Next Gen. We've partnered up with them to offer specific site-based warning information. Just look down the video description below for that. No matter where you're watching us, you can get information on that, set up a location. You'll even be able to get phone calls sent to you if that's what you want with my voice on it, because there's no worse way to wake up than having me calling you with my voice. Isn't that fun? And of course, just stay safe. There's no weather radio, stuff like that. But again, a couple more hours of less active weather before we really ramp up after midnight. So with that being said, I want to thank you all for tuning in this evening. We will be doing live severe weather coverage. I suspect we're going to be live by 3 a.m. The fact is, we'll go live when things get rowdy. But I think 3 a.m. is a safe bet Tuesday. It may be sooner. We'll see. But we will be live for at least several hours tomorrow morning to cover the thunderstorms as they move across northwest Texas, the big country, Texoma, North Texas. We're going to have chasers out and about with live streaming video. And we'll be doing our best to keep you updated on the severe weather situation as a nasty line of storms moves east across, the eastern half of the state tomorrow morning. And then tomorrow morning and afternoon, we're going to be dealing with widespread winds over 50 miles an hour across the entire state of Texas. Those winds will be out of the west. Some of you are going to see winds of 60 to 80 miles an hour, not associated with thunderstorms at all. It's going to be sunny, minus the fact we're going to have a dust storm moving across most of the state, reducing visibilities, making things look hazy. And with very dry air, we're also going to be dealing with a very dangerous threat of wind-driven wildfires. So you're going to want to stay weather aware. You can always keep an eye on the sky with the free Texas Storm Chasers mobile app. Just search for Texas Storm Chasers where you download apps to your device. You'll get your local weather forecast, interactive weather radar, daily Texas weather roundups, and more. I want to thank CW and Texas for your generous super chats. Thank you very kindly for those. Chat room, be sure to thank them for that as well. It helps us continue doing our work. And again, if you want to join us on our member-only Discord server, just join any membership tier on the Texas Storm Chasers or Texas Weather Center YouTube channels. and you'll get access to our members-only Discord server where we'll be chatting this evening, keeping an eye on things. You can chat with other folks as well. So with that being said, I think that about covers it for now. We will be doing updates throughout the evening. We're probably going to have a tornado watch in the next couple hours. Northwest Texas up into the big country, North Texas, Texoma, Oklahoma, with additional watches expected overnight into Tuesday morning. So we're going to be getting busy overnight. Not your typical time frame for this, but Mama Nature's going to do what Mama Nature's going to do. Timing is irrelevant, and we're going to be here for you. So we'll be back later tonight with continuous severe weather coverage on the Texas Weather Center YouTube channel, the Texas Storm Chasers mobile app, and at TexasStormChasers.com. We'll see you a bit later on. Y'all have a good evening, and we'll be here for you through the storms, through the wind, through the fires, too. We'll do our best to keep you up to date. Thank you for joining us this evening.